I achieved my full potential in developing knowledge, honesty, and strength.
My kids are learning how to set goals.
All the instructors are homegrown, so we practice what we preach.
Ready to go.
The advantage is they don't have any preconceptions about life yet, and we can take them early and mold them in such positive ways. They can suddenly figure out that they can do just about anything. I mean, we have kids who start when they're 4 and 8 years old. They're teaching 30 people. They're doing public speaking. I mean, most adults are scared about that, but an 8-year-old gets up in front of 30 people and they're speaking, and they're teaching, and they're leading, and they're doing it in an articulate manner.
Remember, when you're focusing, you're looking straight ahead. Attention means 2 things: concentration and self-control. Say concentration. Concentration. Self-control. Self-control. Very good. Bow courtesy.
Dedicated student of the martial arts, I will live my life by the principles of black belt: modesty, courtesy, integrity, perseverance, self-control, and indomitable spirit.
My name is Sascha Williams, and this is my wife and co-host, Renee Williams. And today we're actually going to have a second part to what we started last week, which is a segment, I guess, that could be labeled Improve Your Life. Part of the training that we go through and that we also share with a lot of our students, everything having to do with how to change your behavior and how to change the way you feel and how to become more successful. And we did introduce a book last time, which was called What to Say When You Talk to Yourself. Yes. Ours looks a little tethered right there, with bookmarks and everything in there.
Shows we've been reading it.
That's right. As a matter of fact, I know that you have been working with this book a lot, with creating a whole series of worksheets in order to be able to deliver this to our younger students.
Oh, yes. We were just starting now to implement it. The book is an easy read. But, in our class, we have students as young as 5, going all the way up. So I wanted to make sure it was something that the younger kids could understand as well up to adult. Mm-hmm. And it was, fun worksheets, interactive. They can actually understand more and get more out of the book.
Right.
So it took a while, but it was actually a really good project. I enjoyed it.
Good. Now, we've previously discussed that there's actually a lot of material available from a lot of success coaches all throughout the last probably about 100 years, starting with Napoleon Hill. And actually, he didn't even start that movement, but there's actually a lot of this came from not necessarily the field of psychology or psychiatry at all. It comes more out of the field of business and entrepreneurship. Mm-hmm. There's a famous quote that we often abide by, and that is, never take advice from somebody who's more screwed up than you are. Right? So a good person to listen to about affecting your own life and being successful and knowing how to create the right mindset to be successful is other people who have been successful. Yes. So Napoleon Hill was commissioned by Andrew Carnegie, like we mentioned last time, and did a 20-year study on what do all the most successful people in the United States have in common, right? Mm-hmm. And so one of those issues is self-talk. The things that you tell yourself on a repeated basis again and again and again are going to affect your life, the outcome of your life. It's going to affect your feelings. It's going to affect your behavior.
For people who say they do not talk to themselves, it's untrue.
Right. Everybody talks to themselves. And
whether you're relevant or you realize it or not.
Right. Now, self-talk can be different things. It doesn't necessarily mean talking out loud at all.
Could be, yeah.
Right. We all have a certain image of ourselves, right? You might feel that you are very good at math, or you might feel that you're horrible at math. Well, how do you know that? How does that become such a certainty for you? And well, probably because you have confirmed that with yourself again and again and again. Right? So if you're confirming something with yourself, well, you're talking to yourself. That's really what we mean by self-talk. Right? So it can be, often it goes on, unfortunately, on a more subconscious level. And so we do it without even realizing it. Right? Yes. I'm always stressed out, or I just can't find time to exercise, or
It just never works out.
it
or I
never
can't-
works out.
I just can't do that.
Right. And also on the other hand, we do things like, oh, I'm a great business person, or I'm a great parent, and I'm a great teacher. So we do have a tendency of developing these things, and we develop them over a whole lifetime. And that's really the biggest problem, is that sometimes when we start trying to make changes in our life, we already have spent 20, 30 years doing
Yeah.
the same thing over and over.
I
And
believe that for one of the first chapters of the book is about the 180,000 no's
yes,
that
yes.
you hear by the time you're a certain age.
Right, exactly.
Negativity.
A child within, I believe, the first 10 years of its life, it receives like over 100,000 no's.
I think it was over 180,000 no's and not even nearly as much yeses.
Right, right. Self-talk is actually something that can be extremely, extremely powerful, because it is part of the programming that you get, and it affects your belief system. And we're going to kind of get into that a little bit today. Because
Yeah, there's some really cool stories in there, and there was one we talk to the students about all the time about the two children.
Right.
That's
Absolutely.
important.
It's talking about two different children starting out with basically the same situation in all other aspects other than their self-talk.
Yes.
One child being, and by the way, self-talk when you're young first starts with some, you get programming from the outside. In other words, the subconscious messages that you get first probably come from your parents or
Yes.
grandparents, your family, TV,
Teachers.
friends, school, eventually your workplace, and people that you associate with,
Yes.
right? And that's really, really important to keep in mind, because what it means is that there's a lot of stuff being thrown into your mind that probably doesn't belong there, and that you never agreed to have in there. And often what we want to change in order to improve our lives is our behavior and the way we feel about things. And that's actually something that Tony Robbins had talked quite a bit. No matter what your goals are in life, it always boils down to those two things: your behavior or how you feel about something. Somebody can say, well, that's not what I want to do, is I want to be rich. Well, sure. Why? Because the way it makes you feel, right? And I want to have a fast car. Why? Because it makes you feel a certain way, right? So that's in the end what we all want to change. We want to change the way we feel about things. We want to change the way we behave a lot of times, right? So self-talk is an extremely powerful tool in making that happen.
That's why we make it a point to make sure our students know this
Yes.
and learn this. It's very,
Yes.
very important.
Very much so, very much so. Okay. We might want to go to a commercial at this point in time already,
Yes,
so that way we can do the next segment without being interrupted. But I do believe we have a question of the day.
Yes, I pulled this one out this morning without even, almost didn't have one.
Uh-oh.
But we're gonna do this one. It's regarding reading. How fast in words per minute does the average American adult read? Now, I'm gonna give you multiple choice. Is it 175, 275, or 325? Dun, dun, dun.
175, 275, or 375?
325.
325.
Wake up.
Thank you. All right, when we come back.